everybody, it's Rosandra, and first and foremost I'm going to apologize right off the bat because in my last video I said I'd get better about posting when in actuality I got worse, so I'm sorry. I'll really try to get better though, for real. In this video, I kind of just wanted to talk about some of the perks of teaching outside of Seoul. I know that when people plan to come to teach in Korea, most times, well, a lot of the time, they're like, oh, I want to teach in Seoul. If I don't get Seoul, that's it. I don't want to teach there anymore. Oh, Seoul is the only cool place in Korea, blah, 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 blah. But no, that's not true. Like, Korea is so cool, and there's so much outside of Seoul that there is to appreciate. You have no idea. So I just wanted to tell you guys some of the perks of not teaching in Seoul, because there are plenty. First and foremost, for those of you that are coming to save money, you actually have the potential to make more money by not teaching in Seoul. In order to teach in Seoul, nowadays it's really hard for a first-year teacher to even get a position. In the event that you do land a teaching position in Seoul as a first year, you're looking at about 2 million won as your starting salary, generally speaking. When you teach outside of Seoul, like whether it be the Gyeonggi-do province or where I am, like Gyeongsang, you honestly can make 10 to 20% more in the same amount of time teaching the same amount of classes by just opting to not live in Seoul. So you can make more money by not living in Seoul. So let's just say you're coming to teach in Korea and you don't get placed in Seoul, you get placed somewhere else. I don't know, Paju, random location, whatever. But think about it, with that extra money that you make, you could take that money, vacation in Seoul, or even do like a day trip or something if you're that close. But my point is, you don't have to live in Seoul to experience Seoul if that's what you really want to do. And I don't know, there's just so many other places aside from Seoul to go to, like really. Perk number 2 of teaching outside of Seoul, and as much as I don't want to say I agree, I totally have to agree, the people are nicer outside of Seoul a lot of the time. They're a lot more friendly. I can't explain it. Well, actually, yeah, I can. So I remember my first day in my city, I was looking for a local grocery store, so I'm wandering around trying to find out where the heck I'm going, and like, I didn't feel like I couldn't ask people for help. And when people would help me, they were so genuine and sweet. Like, they would pat me on the back and be like, oh, that way, where are you from? You're so pretty, blah, 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 blah. And things like that happen in Seoul too, of course, but I feel like outside of Seoul, you have more of that like hometown-y kind of feel, and people look out for each other more, whether you're a foreigner or not. So I hate to agree and say that people are nicer outside of Seoul, but I think I have to. Perk number 3 of living outside of Seoul, I feel like by living outside of Seoul, you have more of a chance to be a cultural ambassador of sorts. I mean, think about it. When you're in Seoul, there is a larger foreigner population than you might find outside of Seoul. So say if you're placed in like Gyeongsang-namdo like me, or like Gyeongsang-bukdo, Jeollado, like different areas around Korea, they might not be used to seeing people like you. And who knows, maybe you're the first foreigner they've ever met. Just by being so different, you could be like that representative, what they think of when they think of an American, or what they think of a Canadian, or whatever. My point is, like, by being somewhere that foreigners aren't typically seen, you really can serve as something bigger than just an English teacher. You're a face for them to remember, and you're some sort of association to a culture they may never personally experience otherwise. So you serve such an important role in these regions. Not to say you can't serve this sort of role in Seoul, but I mean, you see more foreigners there, so come on. Also, something you should realize about coming to Korea is that just because you're not placed in Seoul doesn't mean that you're going to be placed in the absolute boonies of Korea. Like, it's not all lame outside of Seoul. There are so many cool places. Like, of course there's Busan, Daegu, Gimhae, Gyeongju, Jeonju, like different cities like that that are lesser known, but they still have like such a city kind of feel to them. Like, you still get your high-rises, and you still get your neon lights and noraebang and all that fun stuff you want to do. Like, it all exists outside of Seoul, so if you're going for that kind of city lifestyle, you can find that elsewhere. Don't bank on Seoul just for living in a city. You can live in a city outside of Seoul. There are plenty. Seriously. Also, another perk to not living in Seoul is that, I mean, I guess it's not really a perk, but it's something to take into consideration. Even if you're not living in Seoul, Korea is a small country. It's so easy to get from city to city here. You know, I live considerably far from Seoul, but I can be there in a little over 3 hours if I really want to go. And if I really wanted to, I could come back the same day. It's that kind of country that you're in. There are a lot of other places that are significantly closer. Like, I have friends up in like Daejeon and different areas like that where Seoul is just over an hour away. So just because you're not placed in Seoul doesn't mean that you will never have the chance to go, because who knows, chances are you might be pretty darn close. Even if you aren't close to Seoul necessarily, you're probably close to another major city like Busan, Daegu, whatever. Take for instance Uryang. This city has the smallest population in all of Korea, so it's basically as boony as you can get. But you're still like an hour from Busan, so if you need to escape, Busan's right there. I feel like I'm rambling, I'm gonna stop now. I guess the last perk I can think of is that I feel like living outside of Seoul as an English teacher makes for a unique experience. Of course, this isn't to say that living in Seoul wouldn't allow you to have a unique experience, but a lot of people are familiar with Seoul and like they know what to expect, like by going to Seoul, you know? But say you end up in the middle of somewhere people have never heard of. Can you imagine the kind of stories that you could tell when you go back home, and you know, just the experiences you might have? It could be so unique, and I think having a unique experience is part of the beauty of coming here as a teacher. Not knowing what to expect, like, oh, I'm gonna go to Gangnam and, you know, do all this, whatever. But like going somewhere you've never heard of and realizing, oh my gosh, this place is actually super awesome. Why don't people talk about this place more? You know, it's just going outside of Seoul, you have less expectations, or you should have less expectations, but that's like part of the surprise and part of the experience of coming to a foreign country, not knowing what to expect and just having a unique experience that maybe other people wouldn't have the chance to have. So yeah, did that make sense? Last thing I'll say, because I'm totally rambling, but I think when you're coming to teach English in Korea, there is a serious question that you should ask yourself. Are you coming to Korea to teach English? You know, to enrich lives and impact students in ways that they may have never been impacted before? Or are you coming to just live in Seoul? With that in mind, that's all I got. So yeah, those are just some of the many perks of living outside of Seoul. Seoul is awesome, but there's so much more awesomeness out there too. So don't limit yourself. If you come here and you don't get placed there, don't cry. Like, be excited. You'll have such a cool experience. Really. Alright, I'm done rambling. Thank you for watching. Bye.